at 10. Visibility 10. Sky condition, few clouds at 1,900 feet, 5,000 feet scattered. Temperature 26. Dew point 10. Altimeter tree 0.09er. Visual runway 4 right and visual runway 4 left in use. Landing and departing runway 4 right and runway 4 left. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft red back.
Okay, let's go and check out the volume levels. Okay, volume levels look good. Just getting sorted here, don't worry.
Honolulu Airport Information Hotel 2300 Zulu. Wind 059er at 10.
First things first, should we go inside the cockpit and shut up the ATC, otherwise it's going to drive us absolutely round the bend. It's a bug in the aeroplane, look, there is no power to the comm radios.
Altimeter tree 0.09er.
I've seen this bug before in Flight Simulator. So we'll turn the battery on and we'll go and put external power on at least. So we're doing the very first few bits of the ground checklist.
Honolulu Airport Information Hotel 2300 Zulu. Wind 059er.
And then we can go and detune the radio and shut up ground control. There we go. Okay. So as you will see, the airplane is up and running. But first of all, before we go for a fly, we're going to go and have a look at the Inibuilds version of the airfield here at Honolulu. So I'm going to take off. Oh, sorry, take off with the camera, I should say. So there's our 777 sitting on the ground with all the ground service vehicles around it and the jet bridge connected. So we'll have a quick look around the aeroplane before we zoom out any further. I might change the weather actually, because we're going to be sightseeing today and it's going to be awful if the weather's like this. So we're going to turn the live weather off and go for a few clouds for the moment. We may change it again later so we have less clouds. See somebody's just come in. So let's speed the drone camera up a little bit. So we're going to go and have a good look around Honolulu Airport before we fly. Just zooming the camera out to get an idea of the entire airport. You see some of the load on demand is kicking in there and removing some of the cars from the car park and things like that. That's absolutely fine. Just want to see the layout. So as you can see, the airport scenery includes some of the buildings nearby that have got painting on them, which is really cool. So if we have a look around towards the surrounding area, now is this photogrammetry or is it AI? If we get close to it, we'll figure it out very quickly. It looks like these are AI buildings. They're not photogrammetry, because photogrammetry scales very poorly, doesn't it? Yeah, these are all AI, but they're done quite densely. So that's the default flight simulator scenery at that point. But obviously, as soon as we get anywhere near the airport here, we're going to be seeing work that's been done on it to make it fit. So, first things first, let's go and have a look around the service side of the airfield. Some helicopters over here, parked up. Sorry, my drone camera driving skills aren't up to snuff today. Lanai Air, Kai Air, Castle and Cook Aviation. Various logistics buildings. It's a United Service hangar over here. Some general aviation aircraft down there. Okay, I'm always interested to go and have a look at some of the radio kit on the airfield. Interesting. Okay. So let's go back over towards the passenger side of the airfield. But in the middle, you've got the control tower here, obviously. Should we see if we can go inside it? Slow the drone camera down. Whoops. There we go. I'm always fascinated that so much effort goes into these interior structures when, if you're normally flying an airplane, you're not going to see any of this. They've even done. How far have they taken this then? So if we go and let's see how much I can slow this camera down so it's... There we go. How far have they taken the detail? Surely, yeah, they've just gone as far as the lift, which makes sense. Okay, so let's go and fly out through the glass. And we've just come from the service side over there, so we're going to continue on over to the passenger side of the airfield, the commercial side I should say. So just out of interest, what's up this end? So let's speed the camera up. So this is the military side of the airfield over here. So you've got a couple of C-130s. Very cool. There's some... Are they KC-135s parked tankers? Hangar 21. And Hangar 19. Are these Humvees parked down here? No, they're not. They're airport service vehicles. So the hangars look very good, don't they? They're very, very of an era. Very cool. I'm presuming there's nothing inside them. Let's just pop inside one. Yeah, there's nothing in there. You can't get inside it. It moves the camera above it as you get near it. Very 1940s looking building there. I love when this sort of stuff is modelled in the sim. So we've got a little tug down here. This is probably coming from the Seafront Simulations stuff, but very good. Okay, let's go back towards the main buildings. So past the end of the military side of the airfield. There's another little tower down here. Interesting. It's a massive airfield, isn't it? Excuse me. It's a Hawaiian 787 here at the service hangars. So I wonder where best to start with looking at the passenger terminals. Okay, if we start on this big curved building, I don't think it has an interior, but we'll soon find out. Saying that, yeah, it's... What has it? No, it's got the fake interiors, which is a bit of a graphical trick with scenery that is often used. You'll see what I mean if you try to get near it. There's nothing inside, but it looks like there is from the outside. So we'll follow this round. So there's our aeroplane parked up. And we'll carry on round and have a look over here. And this looks like it has got interiors over here. So where do we start? That's fake interior, I think, again. It's difficult to know, isn't it? Where to look and where not to bother looking. If we go down through the roof, we can see some of it is modelled and some of it isn't. So if we come in through here, we can actually cheat to find out what's been modelled. So if we fly through the middle of the buildings, we can see from inside them where the interiors are modelled and where they're not. I don't actually mind the interiors not being modelled because it saves frame rate enormously. So obviously you've got the way into the airport here with the various routes mapped out. You've got the multi-storey car park has been mapped. You've got all the palm trees, obviously. And the road structure is quite complex to come in. It's interesting, isn't it? So you've got both of these curved terminals. But there's one that's slightly modelled differently over here. I wonder if it's got anything inside it. Looks like it may have. That looks like proper 3D structures, but I may be wrong. No, it's distorting as we get near it. There's nothing inside it. Like I said, I don't actually mind the interiors not really being there, because it quite often just destroys the frame rate when you get too close to it. But the airfield as a whole is really nicely done. Okay, so let's just come over to this tower and have a look at it. Actually, before we come into here, should we have a look around this road network? Because this is nicely done as well, down through the middle of the airfield. So this is the things you would be able to see on approach. So they have gone to town on the things that you can actually see, making them look good. And we have got some figures in the main control tower. And they're quite low resolution, but you know, you don't need high resolution because you're going to see them from a distance. So they've been quite careful about modelling only things that can be seen. I think that's quite a good thing. Okay, should we go back over to our aeroplane and get it up and running then, and then we can go on this tour of the Hawaiian Islands and get it up and running. So that was the Inibuilds version of Honolulu, by the way. So it's very good. Should bring the drone camera back down next to the aeroplane. So you can see we've got all of the stairs and the jetway's been disconnected because we've got the stairs, which is good. Back where we started. The central buildings do have interiors, apparently. Okay, maybe we'll have a look at that another time. Okay, so we're on the airplane. We got as far as switching the power on. We're going to go and work through the rest of the procedure in a moment. I'm just pulling it up on my laptop. Although I can usually fairly confidently get these airplanes up and running, I like to work through the procedure because then I don't miss anything. So let's go overhead. So control 6 takes us overhead. So we turned the battery on earlier, which is here, and then we put the external power on. That's all we've done so far. We're going to start the APU. And we're going to turn Adiru on. And turn the window heats on. We are going to arm the emergency lights and cover that. Is that not in my instructions or I missed it? Oh, maybe it's further on. I'm going off-piste already. So we put the IFE passenger seats and cabin utility power on. Yeah, emergency lights, what it should have been next. Then uncage the passenger oxygen and put it on. I've had this queried before by people. I'm just following the checklist that came with the aeroplane. Control 3 takes us over to the FMC. So we press menu, go to FS Actions, go to Fuel. So I'm going to cheat slightly at this point. I'm going to go over to the tablet and come back out of here. Go to the FB, request the data from SimBrief. So I've got my flight plan. So if I zoom in, you can see the flight plan there. Whoa! It's a shame there isn't a smoother zoom in and out option. But anyway, that will give us a nice view of the plan. So having done that, we should be able to, in the FMC, we should be able to go to the FMC page, menu, FMC, clear, pause in it, pick up GPS, previous, drop it in. I'm just going to put I'm just setting up the inertial reference position. So we want the departure airport is PHNL. PHNL. Okay. Oh, so we don't have to align it in this. Okay, that's fine. So yes, sorry, we were going to the PMDG services page. Sorry, menu, FS Actions, fuel. We'll just put medium range on today. We're only doing about 600 miles. And return and payload. See, this is interesting. If we come back into here and we go to route and we request the route and we want the SimBrief route, but then we get set payload and fuel here as well. So this will override what I've just done. So if I say set payload, SimBrief payload set, so we'll clear that message so we see if any other messages come up, and then set fuel, SimBrief block fuel set, clear. So, it's saying block fuel 51.9. Does that agree with the aeroplane? Yes, it does. So it's done it instantly. We don't have to wait for that. That's all I really wanted to look at. So we've got the aeroplane set up as SimBrief said it should to do the flight, which is the main thing I was aiming towards. Okay, so we've done the position initialization, and because we pulled the route in from SimBrief, if we go and look in legs here, it hasn't come in yet. So if we go to the init page again, also route page, do that request route again, select route, activate, execute. If we go and look at legs, has it come in yet? It sometimes takes a while for this to happen. Route request sent. Here we go, look, it's just updated. You can see all of this stuff keeps changing, the status. I'm going to do a video specifically about the SimBrief integration at some point. If we go look in legs now, we still haven't got them. So route, load, uplink loading. Ah, it just did it. There we go. So we can execute that and we've got the route all of a sudden. It won't have done the departure though, or the route never pulls in the SID or the star. So we are going to take off, I think, a runway 8 right, just to make the taxi interesting. Yeah. So runway 8 right and the PIP LN1 standard instrument departure. So 08 right, PIP LN1. And execute, and then we can go back and go to the arrival, and we're going to do ILS 8 left, and I'm just going to check this. I think it's Clanny 3. Let's have a look. Yeah, Clanny 3 with the Ouchie transition. Execute. Now it's giving us an what's the word? It's going to intercept the course. There's a manual part of the route. It's quite clever how it does this. I'm going to do a video on that at some point as well. I'm not going to use it, so we've got something to do on the way. So when you look through, you'll see we've got vectors here, and then when we come in, this is where it was on about it. So we're just going to clear this out for the moment. So if I pull Ouchie over the top of that to execute that, so that's where it would have put the intercept course in. So you can see our route going out and coming back in later on. It's going to be an interesting one. Okay, so we've got the basic route done. If we go into Inibuilds, actually no, before we do that, let's go and look at, yeah, we are in the correct place. So we can, performance data, if we just calculate these, move the mouse around, 0 fuel weight, and then accept. And then go to thrust limit and takeoff. We'll put in 15-degree flap for takeoff, which will calculate our V-speeds. We can calculate the centre of gravity and go to back to thrust limit, so that's done. We've done depth arrive. Okay, so we're pretty much done with that. Did we put in cost index or anything? Can't remember. Next page. You don't have to put reference exit air temperature, it's just there for ease of use really. Just having a look around to see what it's actually configured for us. Okay. Good. So, control panel, we're going to be taking off runway 08. Should we go and find out the exact direction of that runway? 81 degrees. So we're going to go and put 81. Actually, no, I'm looking 8 left there. 80 degrees. It is 80 degrees. So we're going to go and put 80 degrees on the heading before we get there. We're going to climb to 10,000 feet today. We're going to do the most of the route at 10,000 and climb before we're going into the star. 200 knots is fine for takeoff. Go and put the flight directors on. Auto brake needs to go to rejected takeoff. Transponder mode, control 4 takes us down here. It's right over here. It's on the wrong mode to begin with. It should be on standby until we get to the runway. So we can prepare for pushback and engine start. So overhead we're going to go and put the beacon light on. And put on the fuel, which is here, we're going to make sure the fuel pumps are on. And we can do pushback at this point, so we need to make sure the parking brake is released. And is it? No, it's on. So if we hold the toe brakes on for 3 seconds, it should drop off on its own. Okay, I have no brakes. Oh, I know why. Control options. I've got the wrong control configuration for the aeroplane. That's my bad for not setting that up earlier. I've got the MD-11 set up at the moment. So I've got one for the PMDG. Was that it there? There we go. Apply, go back, resume. Do I have toe brakes now? No, I don't. So I'm going to pull the controller out and give it a few seconds, plug it back in again, and we get controls. So hold the toe brakes on and the parking brake releases. Otherwise you can't push back. So we need to go and look at the tablet as well. So, oh, the tablet's moved. How did I do that? So we're going to come back out and go to ground operations, remove the chocks. Oh, we need to close all the doors probably first, don't we? Or sorry, release everything. So is everything removing, or is it got it the wrong way around? Release all I should have done, shouldn't I? There we go. So we should see everything vanish from around the airplane and all the doors are closing. And then ground connections, we can release the ground power. Just before we do that, let's go and check. If we go to electricity, APU 27, it's ready to go. So we can go to here and release the ground power, remove the chocks, and press Shift P basically. So we go and look outside, you see the truck coming up. We can confirm the APU as well by just looking at the rear of the aircraft while we're waiting. You can see the heat pouring out of the exhaust from the APU. Okay, we're being pushed back. So while we're being pushed back, we can get the engine start sequence going. So we're going to go to the engine start levers and we'll do the right engine first. So it goes to start. And you will see, if we've got this on the right screen, the engine coming up. hear that engine spooling up in the background. Just keep an eye on the volume levels. I've got it on maximum volume, so you get to hear everything really clearly with me just hopefully shouting above it. So I'm going to press Shift P there, just push back enough. So I'm going to go and put the parking brake back on. So that engine's up and running. So we will go and start the left engine, and we can, on the 777, we can introduce fuel immediately. We don't have to wait. It's all automated. So you can see down here, it doesn't introduce the fuel until the N2 gets to sufficient level for it to do it. So it should kick in any moment. He says famous last words. There we go. So 33%, it suddenly did it. So once both the engines are running, we can go and turn the APU off. So just wait for that. Dandy there. So yeah, both the starters have gone back to norm. So APU can come off. Hydraulics, we can go and turn them all to auto now. And turn on the hydraulics. So then we prepare to taxi. So taxi light goes to on or down. And we can taxi out to the runway at this point. So we're pretty much there. So I'm just checking for anything we've missed. Doors are on auto, no smoking's on, auto brake is on, rejected takeoff, parking brake is set, APU is on cooldown, gear is down, which matches my switches here. We could go and put the flaps to takeoff, which we said was 15, didn't we? So I'm just going to see if this agrees with my controls, and it does. So let's go and hold the toe brakes on for 3 seconds, which should release the parking brake, and it has. And do we get any movement? No, we don't start creeping, which is always something I wonder about with these aeroplanes. So we're going to have to taxi all the way out. So we're going to go along Alpha, then out to runway 8 right, so we get to see this bridge. That's the only reason I did it, really. So we're going to go left. So let's put the head tracking on at this point, and we're moving, so we'll start turning left immediately. And we'll have a nice gentle taxi out to runway 8 right to do the takeoff. So go and correct the barometric pressure while I'm here. Check that it matches between the backup attitude indicator, and yes it does, it's 2992, is that correct? Interesting. So we're on the... Oh, of course, we've got no weather, which is why, because I wanted to have good visuals along the way to see the islands. Should we change to high level cloud? So you'll have a nice clear view of the islands, basically. Is that, yeah, still 2992 on the barometric pressure. Okay, so we're going to turn right in a moment. I'm going to do a somewhat circuitous route to 8 right. which at least will give us a look around some of the airfield along the way, which is good. I'm not sure that I've got FSLTL installed at the moment, otherwise we could fill the airspace up with aeroplanes and put some aeroplanes on the ground, but I'm not sure they've got it installed. It would appear in here, wouldn't it, if I had it? No, I don't think... Oh, I have! Okay, let's try it. Fly-by-wire. And we want the FSLTL injector. We'll start the injector. If you've not seen this, what FSLTL does is reads the real-world routes and injects them into the simulator, puts them on the ground, gives them flight plans to control, and then it hands them off to the AI aircraft in the simulator. So it's now generating flights nearby. But I may have turned off AI aircraft. Should we go and have a look? So if I go into here and go to General and Traffic type, yeah. I want to say real-time online, apply, go back, resume. So you're suddenly seeing aeroplanes on the gates. Yeah, they're appearing as we speak. And they will have their own plans that are real-world aircraft plans, so it's matching the real planes that are actually sat on the gate at that time. Unfortunately, at the moment, I've changed the time of day. It's middle of the night in Hawaii, so it might not be that busy. So let's have a little look at the map, see where we are. So we're just coming along. So the next left takes us out over the bridge to 8 left. So where is that next left? Should we have a look? Just coming up. And we carry on down through the trees over there and out across the bridge. Peter says hi from Australia. Hello. Okay, so out we go towards the bridge. I guess seeing as FSLTL is in operation, we ought to pause and at least have a look, even though we're not using ATC to direct us across the taxiway or across the active runway. Can we see anything else moving yet? There's some lights on down the far end, but they're nowhere near the runway. And there's nothing, can't see any approach lights in the sky yet. So just out of interest then, if we go and look at a little Navmap and zoom out and turn on the aircraft, you can see everything that's on the ground is being animated. So there is something coming out 26 right that's taxiing around. And there's somebody on, yeah, it was to be the Japan Air we saw the taxi lights for in the distance. See him over there. Someone else taxiing back along 8 right. So that's Hawaiian. So presumably, I don't know if it has enough intelligence to stop. We may have a head-on with an AI aircraft. There's a huge container ship out in the bay. Just taking off like that one that we saw getting ready. We can put labels on to see who they are. Except I don't think they work for the FSLTL aircraft. We're going to have a head-on look. It's too dumb to realise that there's somebody already on the way down here. So we're going to pass straight through their body. It'd be fascinating to see it. I don't think they'll react because I don't think the sim has any knowledge about that. It's interesting though, when you're running FSLTL, you can see all of the plans going on. So if you can see that that's the airplanes it's animating at the moment. Well, not animating, it's fed the information to the simulator about their route information, what they're doing. This is funny. If we go to the internal, we should see inside their cabin as we pass through them. Or I'm hoping that's the case. That'd be quite amusing, wouldn't it? So if I steer on purpose to put our head inside their cabin, they've stopped. Yeah, well done, mate. Always thinking about steering away from us. So what will we see inside their cabin? Let's have a look. Is it hollow? Yeah, it is. Oh, that's a shame. Obviously, if we had ATC, and maybe in the new version, you'll get some more intelligence in terms of that kind of thing, managing the traffic. It's very cool, isn't it? Even though it is a repeating object, you can see the repeats if you look at it at a low angle. It's still very good. Okay, so we're going to go straight out to 8 right and get ready to go. Moire patterns appearing in the stripes there. Always amuses me when that happens. I still haven't got used to how long the 777 is. So when you swing it round onto the runway, how much room you need to do that to get it lined up on the centre line. Yeah, so I still haven't gone far enough, look. Nowhere near. Now it's complaining to me about the checklist. We won't worry about that. I can show you how that works. So if I just go and put the parking brake on for a moment, we need to go and put the landing lights on now. And the strobes. And I'm going to turn head tracking off to do this. Over here we've got the transponder, which we're now going to turn on. We're also going to go and press TFC over here, which will show us the radius rings for any traffic, because we are going to have traffic around there. You can see we've suddenly got the FSLTL traffic. I'm just putting it on for reference really during the flight today. What was I going to... I was going to look at something for you to show you something, and I can't remember what it was now. Oh yes, the checklist. So you press the checklist button over on the right hand side of the panel, and it comes up here. If we just tick everything, because we've already done everything, and we go to the normal checklist, and yeah, we've done the doors, the MCP's done, the takeoff speeds are done, the CDU pre-flight is done, the trim is done, the taxi and the takeoff briefing are completed. Can we do an override? So it says checklist incomplete norm, but we've completed it. So we've got before start, before taxi, got the pre-flight done, before takeoff is done, and after takeoff isn't done yet, so now it's gone away. There we go. It just makes the yellow warning go away. It doesn't actually affect you at all. So, parking brake back off, hold the toe brakes for 3 seconds, and it releases. And off we go. So, wind the engines up. Autopilot on. Auto throttle on. And we'll go lateral navigation. And we could just do flight level change to get straight up to 10,000 feet. So you can see it's following an immediate right turn here to go out over the bay, and that should correspond with Navigraph. Go and have a look. Yeah, so we're just departing immediate right turn out to Enski. Go and look outside. We are doing sightseeing today, so we're going to have a look as we depart. So flaps can start to come up. I'm always fascinated watching the animations of the flaps winding in. So you can see the leading edge will retract very slowly. Going to have a look inside. We're doing 216, 15 knots at the flap up, so just completed that, so that's all good. Gear is up. Coming up through 9,000 feet, so landing lights off in a moment. We're reaching target altitude very soon. Increase the range on the map. We're going to turn left in a moment. Let's go and have a look at the legs page. So yeah, we're going to get rid of vectors here. Clear. Is it not going to let us? Okay, look, it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get to Enski. It's not going to do the turn, is it? This is quite instructive actually. This line here means it's going to maintain the direction. So what we could do is that. Because vectors basically means, yeah, it's going to continue on the route it's got, and then you take instruction from ATC at that point. You can see the island there. So let's go through the islands for people that don't know them very well. So we have just departed Honolulu, which is Oahu. Okay, so this island, the big island with Honolulu, is Oahu. The first one we're going to be visiting, if we go and have a look at, where's the best place to look at this? Navigraph maybe? So we're heading off now towards the NKK or Molokai VOR. So yes, this is the island of Molokai. Now there is an apostrophe in it, so I presume the correct local pronunciation would be Molokai, which is the same as Hawaii, which everybody says Hawaii wrong. They say Hawaii is one long word, but it's not, it's Hawaii. So presuming by the way it's written, it's Molokai. And then you've got Maui, will be our next island. Actually, let's have a look at the route. Oh no, I tell a lie. We're going over to Lanai first, then over to, so this is Lanai, then over to Maui. And then the island of Hawaii, or Hawaii. Say. And then we fly all the way back past all of them to the North Island up here. I'm just trying to move my own map around. I've got a proper map. So this is Kauai. So it should be an interesting route. So we're on our way at the moment to Molokai, which is out here. So someone's asking, this 777 still isn't available in the store. Were you expecting it to be? PMDG have been quite slow to appear in the store in the past. So we're flying along on a target speed of 215 knots at the moment. Should we go and increase that up? Because we can. Let's go flat out from now on. So 320 knots, we're at 10,000 feet. Should we give ourselves a little bit of leeway there? So we'll go to 10.5. So if we do flight level change up to 10,500 feet. And then increase the range on the navigation display. So we're about 20 miles out from our first port of call. Yeah, so in the live stream, someone's saying the volcano on the Big Island peaks at 13,000 feet. That's why I said we will be changing altitude along the way. I'm just picking a safe-ish altitude to be approaching these things, and we'll climb and descend as we go. Unfortunately, Little Nav Map doesn't have the altitude map for Hawaii. Otherwise, we'd be able to see it. Or for the Hawaiian Islands, I should say. A bit of a shame. I don't think Navigraph does altitude representation either, even in the world map. It's got some representation, but it isn't really marked as to what the colours mean. I don't think it has a legend for it, which is a shame. Okay, so we're just approaching our first stop, which is Molokai. Or Molokai, as I presume it's actually supposed to be said. So if we put head tracking on, right, head tracking's misbehaving. There we go. Aha, so in Navigraph the FAA chart has the altitude peaks. Brilliant. We'll use that then. I forgot it's a US there it is, yeah, brilliant. Really useful. I never realised. And I'd completely forgotten that Hawaii was a US owned island chain, so there we go. Or part of the US, I should say. It's often a pub quiz question, isn't it? Everybody forgets about either the size of Alaska or that Hawaii is part of the US. Okay, so we should be turning very soon. Should we descend a few? Although if we descend, we have to cut back to 250 knots, or make the journey really long. At the moment, we're whistling along. So what does Wikipedia have to say? Oh, look, it seems frozen. Oh, it's just released again. So what does Wikipedia have to say? Molokai. The fifth most populated of the 8 major islands that make up the Hawaiian Islands archipelago in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. 38 by 10 miles, greatest length and width of usable land area of 260 square miles. The island's agrarian economy has been driven primarily by cattle ranching, pineapple production, sugarcane production and small-scale farming. Tourism comprises a small fraction of the island's economy. Much of the infrastructure related to tourism was closed and barricaded in the early 2000s when the primary landowner, Molokai Ranch, ceased operations due to substantial revenue losses. There we go. On the north coast, settlements were established in 1866 for quarantine treatment of persons with leprosy. These operated until 1969. The Kalaupapa National Historical Park now preserves this entire county and area. Several other islands are visible from the shores. Yeah, we can see that. Okay, we are now approaching. Look at the map. Lanai. So, reading from Wikipedia once again, is the 6th largest of the Hawaiian Islands, the smallest publicly accessible inhabited island in the chain. It is colloquially known as the Pineapple Island, because in its past there was an island-wide pineapple plantation. Lanai is roughly an apostrophe-shaped island, so that's interesting to know, isn't it? So Lanai was under the control of the nearby Maui before recorded history. Its first inhabitants may have arrived as late as the 15th century. The Hawaiian language name Lanai is of uncertain origin, but the island has historically been called Lanai or Kaualau, which can be rendered in English as Day of the Conquest of Kaluau. The epithet refers to a legend about a Mauian prince who was banished to Lanai because of his wild pranks at his father's court in Lahaina. The island was said to be haunted by Akua Ino ghosts, or ghosts and goblins, that Kalaua chased away, bringing peace and order to the island and regaining his father's favour as a consequence. Oh my word, I love all these legends, they're fantastic, aren't they? The first people to migrate here, most likely from Maui and Molokai, probably established fishing villages. I love the probably. Established fishing villages along the coast at first and then spread into the interior where they raised taro in the fertile volcanic soil. During most of this period, the Moi of Maui had control over Lanai, but generally left its inhabitants alone. At some point, King I can't even say this one. Kamehameha, yeah, that makes sense, invaded and killed many of them. The population must have been decimated by 1792, because in that year Captain George Vancouver reported that he had been ignored at the island during his voyage because of its apparent lack of inhabitants. So the major settlement is Lanai City, which is that right in the middle. In 1854, a group of members of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints were granted a lease in a court. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it. In 1862, Walter M. Gibson arrived on Lanai to reorganize the settlement. A year later, he brought the Ahupuas of Palawai for $3,000. He used money of the church, but titled the land in his own name. Well, there you go. How many times has that happened? How mad idiots. Anyway. So we're on our way to the next island. So this is it's interesting to look at every single map has different pieces of or different ways of labeling things. So obviously this is Maui, but it's interesting how where they place the labels. Okay, so we're going to get a really good look down through the central volcanic area. Okay, so in 2020, Maui had a population of 168,000, the third highest of the Hawaiian Islands behind Oahu and the Hawaii Island. Kahului is the largest census-designated place on the island with 2020 population of 28,000 people. I've flown through here in small aeroplanes before. It's an amazing looking place, isn't it? So, some history. Polynesians from Tahiti were Maui's original inhabitants. They introduced the kapu system, a strict social order that affected all aspects of life and became the core of Hawaiian culture. Modern Hawaiian history began in the mid-18th century, so that's the 1700s. Kamehameha, the king of the Hawaii Island, invaded Maui in 1790 and fought the inconclusive Battle of Kapaniwai. He returned to Hawaii to battle a rival, subduing Maui a few years later. Yeah, here's the developed part of the island which is coming through. Now we need to be careful. Where does our route take us? Let's have a look. Aeroplane, please. We're going to go right and straight over, so we're going to need to climb. So let's go and give ourselves a few thousand feet. And we can look at the map here to know what we need. Well, that's the plan anyway, so we're just approaching. So it's saying 10,000 here, so we're giving ourselves 5,000 over the top. So you can see the aeroplane should be climbing. Yes, and it is. Going upstairs very quickly. So in modern history, let's put the view outside while we talk about this. On November the 26th, 1778, explorer James Cook became the first European to see Maui. Cook never set foot on the island because he was unable to find a suitable landing. The first European to come ashore was French Admiral Jean-François du Galop, Comte de La Pérouse, who landed on the shores of what became La Pérouse Bay on May the 29th, 1786. Most Europeans followed: traders, whalers, loggers, and missionaries. The latter began to arrive from New England in 1823, settling in Lahaina, at that time Hawaii's capital. They clothed the natives, banned hula, and greatly altered the culture. The missionaries taught reading and writing, devised the Hawaiian alphabet, operated a printing press in Lahaina, and began recording the island's history, which had been transmitted only orally before then. The missionaries both altered and preserved the native culture. The religious work altered the culture, while the literacy efforts preserved history and language. Missionaries started the first school in Lahaina, Lahaina Luna Mission School, which opened in 1831 and still exists today. I think the most important, and this goes for a lot of the Pacific Islands as well as Hawaii, is written language. The thing the West gave a lot of these cultures was written language. That's the most important thing they gave them. because yeah, oral history is unreliable. Well, so is written history though, because it's always recorded by the victors of various fights, isn't it? So look at this observatory, fantastic. Very cool. Look at the colours. Okay, so we are departing the shores and going for the island of Hawaii. So let's have a look at some of the altitudes we're going to cross on the way. So 13,800, but we're going in between. So we should be okay. 13, yeah. We'll keep an eye on it. We should be able to fly between the peaks because we're going to turn left. Although they're quite shallow hills, aren't they? We'll just keep an eye on it. So what can we find out about the island of Hawaii? Often referred to as the island of Hawaii or Hawaii Island to distinguish it from the state. It is also referred to as the Big Island due to its size relative to the other islands. In Hawaiian, the island is sometimes called a moku. Now I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Kiwa. The word Kiwa has several meanings. One definition, Southern Cross. It is said to be the name of an ancient chief. Another definition is the bearer. Kiawe. Hawaii County is the local administrative unit. Well, that's good to know. So Hawaii is allegedly named after Hawaiialoa, a legendary Polynesian navigator who is said to have discovered the island. Other accounts attribute the name to the legendary realm of Hawaii, a place from which some Polynesians are said to have originated, the place where they transition to in the afterlife, or the realm of the gods and goddesses. James Cook, the English explorer and navigator who captained the first European expedition to reach the Hawaiian Islands, called it Owaihi, from Hawaiian, and the Sandwich Islands after his patron, the Earl of Sandwich. Hawaii was the home island of Pa'i Kamehameha, later known as Kamehameha the Great. He united most of the Hawaiian Islands under his rule in 1795 after several years of war, and gave the kingdom and the island chain the name of his native island. In 1822, missionary William Ellis arrived and was one of a party that completed a tour of the island, descriptions of which were later published in his journals. Very cool. I'm just keeping an eye on the ground, how close it gets as we approach. So sugarcane was the backbone of the island economy for more than a century. In the mid-20th century, sugarcane plantations began to downsize, and in 1995 the island's last plantation closed. Most of the island's economy depends on tourism, centred primarily in resort areas on the western coast of the island. So we're about to see that here. Look at that cut-in. There, it's huge. Because remember, we're at 15,000 feet at the moment. The island is known for astronomy, with numerous telescopes positioned at the summit of Mauna Kea, at the Mauna Kea observatories, funnily enough, where atmospheric clarity is excellent and little light pollution intrudes. Astronomy has become somewhat controversial given accusations of mismanagement by the observatory manager at the University of Hawaii. The proposed addition of a 30-metre telescope generated protests that stalled the project and led to the transfer of management responsibility to a governor-appointed body. So, NELHA, the Natural Energy Laboratory of Hawaii Authority, a 675-acre state-developed site, is a green economic development of Oceanic Science and Technology Park on the west side of the island. It provides resources and facilities for energy and ocean-related research, education, and commercial activities in an environmentally sound and culturally sensitive manner. Somebody that works there wrote that, didn't they? They've got microalgae farms, aquaculture, solar technology, and marine biotech. Scenery is amazing, isn't it? It's a shame that they've got the these lines. Although that might be real by the look of it. It's just a plantation line, isn't it? This could be part of that area. Should we have a look on the map? It's not marked on this map. But given there are conservation areas, you could see why that might happen. Incredible, isn't it? If I turn head tracking on, I can look away from the aeroplane. In fact, what we could do, which might be even better, is use the drone camera. Then we can put the aeroplane off to one side. That's better, isn't it? And it's not as noisy either. I wish there was a self-leveling option on the drone camera. Okay, let's just check the route we're flying. So we're going to skim this side, then double back when we get over the top of Hilo, or Hilo, not sure how you pronounce it, and then go in between the mountains on the way back. So we should be okay. So if we go back inside the aeroplane briefly. Just check everything's okay on the aeroplane. No warnings. Just tootling along, 320 knots. Yeah, we're okay, look. So the terrain view is showing the hills. I was hoping it would. So this might be interesting actually. Let's descend. Let's bring ourselves down to 12,000 feet and see what happens to that terrain view. So we'll do a flight level change to get there. So it's going to pull the throttles back and then start descending. And watch the colours change. It will go red when it's at the same altitude as us. Here comes the green banana. So as we come down, this should change shape as we get closer to the land. We might be able to get away with 10,000 feet, you know. So obviously you can see the peak is above us, but we're nowhere near it. I think we can, you know. So we should start turning soon. If we want to aid the descent rate, all we have to do is throw the spoilers out. And the aeroplane will dip its nose. So you can see, look, 22, 2,500 feet, 3,000 feet a minute, 3,500 feet a minute, 4,000 feet a minute. And we're getting a warning about the speed brake being extended. That's absolutely fine. Okay, take the speed brakes back off. The nose will come back up to counter the acceleration. And we're nearly down to 10,500. I think we're going to be fine at 10,500. Let's have a look on outside. It's very barren, isn't it? Probably take the landing lights off, seeing as we're above 10,000 feet. Forgot about that on the way out. Though it is unusual to be flying around at these altitudes in this sort of aeroplane, so it's probably good that people know we're here. So I'm surprised, although it is the middle of the night, so the live traffic isn't going to be showing anything nearby us probably. So it's going to be fascinating to see what this shows up on the altitude plot. I think we're just about going to get away with it. So I'll stay in the cockpit. This is going to be close, isn't it, with this hillside? But you would hope that this would render it nicely. Yeah, you can see it there, look. So the terrain mode comes into its own. Obviously this is a highly unusual activity to be doing in a 777. Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to skim the hillside at 10,000 feet, which is fine. We just need to be aware of it. Okay, so what else can we find out while we are here about the big island? Let's go and have a read. The island of Hawaii is built on 5 separate shield volcanoes that erupted somewhat sequentially, one overlapping the other. These are from the oldest to the youngest. Kohala, which is extinct, Mauna Kea, which is dormant, Haulalai, which is active, Mauna Loa, active, partly within Hawaii's Volcanoes National Park. Isn't it wonderful when you read a Wikipedia page and you can see that somebody's altered it to advertise something? And Kilauea, which is active, part of Hawaii's Volcanoes National Park. Geological evidence from exposures of old surfaces on the south and west flanks of Mauna Loa led to the proposal that 2 ancient volcanic shields named Ninole and Kulanai were all but buried by the younger Mauna Loa. Geologists now consider these outcrops to be part of Mauna Loa. Based on geochemical and isotope differences in the eruptive products, Hawaiian volcanoes fall into two families. The differences are believed due to their separate magma systems. The island is actually growing because of the active volcanoes. Yeah, you can see the observatory up there, look. So if we look on the map here, there's the observatories marked at 13,800 feet. So we're flying out to Kalaoa, out on the coast. And then we'll be going all the way back up the edge of the Hawaiian Islands. So on our departure, shall we climb back out to an appropriate altitude to be coming into the SID later? So I'm going to go out to 18,000 feet. And do a level change. And we'll climb up, and that will give us hopefully a vantage point to see the island chain along the way. So you can see the nose coming up, the power coming on. Yeah, you see the throttles sliding forwards. And estimating about 10 miles to climb out to 18,000 feet. See our route projected out past the island chain and then back in, which gives me a chance once we make the turn at the next waypoint to go grab a coffee. Yeah, I'm just reading the live stream comments from Steve Austin there. I'm guessing the ejecta from the volcanoes is solidifying and building on the ground faster than the erosion though, which is why the islands are seen to be growing. It's interesting though, I'd never thought about that volcanic islands actually get bigger, or have the capacity to get bigger. And I guess the other problem is if you get magma building up under the ground, the altitude of the ground may rise. So then more of the coast is exposed from the sea. I know that's certainly happened at, which of the national parks is it in the US that has the super volcano underneath it? Is it Yellowstone? I'm not sure. So Min asks, hello, did you buy this plane? Yes, I did. I buy all of the airplanes that I fly. Apart from, there's a few that the developers have given me. And they sometimes give me early releases of aeroplanes to do reviews on, but it doesn't tend to be the big airliners. It tends to be the smaller aircraft. The big airliners, or the developers of them, the likes of PMDG and Inibuilds, will typically work with professional pilots to do the shakedowns of their big aircraft. Because they're more interested in the systems modelling and making sure everything's correct. But quite often smaller developers working on GA planes will give me a copy in advance of its release to help them obviously with marketing, because I've got enough subscribers now that I'm useful to them. And I'm not blind to that. I know I'm in a fortuitous position, but I have bought an awful lot of aeroplanes. To be honest, the money I make from the advertising on YouTube pays for me to buy aeroplanes to show people. So I am going to make a point of going back over old airplanes soon and showing people what's actually in the sim that's really good or interesting. So I will be going back over a lot of the more interesting airplanes. I mean, Coronado often get forgotten and they're quite disparaged, but their airplanes look wonderful and they're quite reliable and they just work. So a lot of the GA planes made by Coronado are fantastic, and they've been very quiet recently, and I realise that's probably because they are making new versions of all of their aircraft ready for 2024. Because I think Coronado have worked with Asobo in the past to make the aircraft that come with the sim. So for this cruise past the islands, we're at 18,000. Should we take it out to 36? We've got time to do it. Going to take the airplane up. Although saying that, have we got the fuel for it? That's the question. We may not. Let's have a look at the route data. So it gives us a fuel burn down. Yeah, we've got plenty of fuel, haven't we? That's fine. Okay, let's do it. So you can see aeroplane's going immediately into a climb. We've got plenty of time to get up and back down again for the tour of the final island before we come in. So looking on the map, if we zoom out, we're just starting this long leg down past all of the islands to go to the North Island. So this is Kauai. I'm not sure the exact pronunciation. But yeah, we're just going to turn over it via the VORs and then come in and join the standard terminal arrival route into Honolulu, back on Oahu. Okay, so we have some time to kill as we fly past. But yeah, sorry, I just reading the live stream comments. I mentioned Yellowstone. The reason I mentioned the altitude changing in Yellowstone is because it did, and there was quite a scare a few years back, and they are now monitoring it incredibly closely. So Yellowstone is a super volcano, so it's one giant caldera, the floor of the park, and they know from looking at the geology, so looking at the strata, that it's due to go off. But then due to go off in geological terms could mean sometime in the next 10,000 years. And they weren't really worried about that. They could see, from areas of exposed seabed with seeing strata when it had gone off in the past, in the ancient past, and it had gone off on a cycle. And they were fine about that until obviously satellites have given us much more accurate mapping of altitudes. And then I'm not sure how long ago it was now, maybe 20 years ago, the floor of the park raised by a metre over a very short space of time. And it was only because of satellite mapping that they knew it had happened. But I think they know that if the models were correct, that I read about a long time ago, and they may have revised the models by now, but if the models were correct, then Yellowstone was overdue. A bit like the San Andreas Fault is overdue. But yeah, it could, in geological terms, that could mean 10,000 years, it could be next year. Nobody knows. And our knowledge of subterranean processes on that scale is extremely sketchy. We're trying to find models that fit the observable phenomena. So we're up to 28,000 feet nearly. So we should be going for standard barometric pressure because we're above 18,000. Although we were tuned to the same anyway. Let's just go and click that so we've got it both sides. And it should be on here. Yeah, it says STD here as well. That's good. So I think that's an option in the FMC, that it synchronizes the altimeters for you. The white box is an artifact from having head tracking, so don't worry about it. If you press F, it goes away. It's because the camera has moved somewhere, and yeah, it's odd. Look, it's doing it again. Yeah, I remember watching the thing about Yellowstone a while ago. But yeah, coming back full circle on that story, you can imagine then if a volcanic island, if it raises slightly, then it looks like it got bigger. If you take, into account the sea, or where the ocean meets it. Okay, so I have a little while. I'm going to go and grab a coffee. I'll leave the aeroplane cruising above the Hawaiian Islands, and I'll put the view out there so you can see them as we pass them by. So I'm going to go grab a coffee, and I'll be back in a bit. Should we have a look and see where we are? Okay, so we're just about to pass back along part of the route. So if we look on the map, we're about halfway, or coming up to halfway, between the island of Hawaii and the North Island. So let's have a look. Oahu there and Kauai. So let's see what we can find out about Kauai before we get there. That's interesting. Google Translate will not even begin to attempt to say Kauai. Kauai is the phonetic, but presumably because of the apostrophe it's Kauai, in the same way that Hawaii should be Hawaii. So Steve's saying, here's a question. Who first landed on Hawaii and saw all the volcanic activity and thought, this is a good place to settle? Well, to be honest, go back a couple of hundred years and most people thought anything volcanoes did was because the gods were angry with us. And any knowledge of tectonic theory or magma or anything else, or the larger Earth processes, was completely unknown to science, or science was being defeated by religion, or science didn't really exist. You only have to go back another couple of hundred years before that and you had people being dunked in the river, and if they drowned they were innocent. There's some really fascinating books. There's a wonderful book called The Dinosaur Hunters by Deborah Cadbury, I think. It's a fantastic read about the collision of science and religion in the 1800s with obviously the discovery of dinosaur bones. It wasn't a pretty fight, and science obviously won that fight, but it rumbled on and on and on. I'm not going to get into it while flying airplanes, but yeah, it's a wonderful book, Dinosaur Hunters by Deborah Cadbury. So yes, at the time Cook discovered the islands, they were probably, the European settlers were probably in as much agreement as the Hawaiian natives that when the volcanoes went off, the gods were angry. And they had no way of knowing any different, so you can't really criticise it or laugh about it. That was their worldview. Okay, so we get quite a nice view from up here of Oahu. We'll be coming back here in a bit to land. There's the airport down there. You see Pearl Harbor. I will come back here again, probably with a GA plane, to go and do a tour of Pearl Harbor. There are a few different add-ons that improve it and put all the warships in the harbour and things like that, and improve the rendering of the Arizona monument. memorial, I should say. Yeah, it'll be an interesting place to come and have a proper look at. Bizarrely, as the scenery was updated, they actually ruined Pearl Harbor. At some point in the distant past, there was a wonderful version of Arizona that you could see underneath the water with the stacks poking through the top of the water. And then they ruined it because they put some sort of texture map over the harbour which obscured it, and we've got a missing tile over there, which is interesting. I haven't seen that happen for a long time in the simulator. So that's absolutely a server farm issue on the part of Microsoft. So the request has gone out from Asobo for this tile of, oh, it's coming back there, tile of texture, and it came back with nothing. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm going to try out some of the community developed add-ons, or I may go and have a look and see if Orbex have got anything for Hawaii. They may have Pearl Harbor in detail, you know, and put the Arizona back as it should be. We'll wait and see. When Flight Sim first came out, there was a wonderful. It was more of a, you know, a happy accident that you could see the Arizona under the water, and it looked quite sinister. It was quite, you know, made you really think about it. So what's the other airfield just to the west of the International Airport? Kaleloa, John Rogers Field. Okay. So obviously we're coming back into the International Airport. Okay, so we're just passing by the island. We'll be back soon. We're going to go and fly over the top of the North Island. So at 36,000 feet. We haven't got any low fuel warnings, have we? No. I'm amazed we had so much fuel on board, to be honest. Because we pulled the fuel from Simbrief, although Simbrief's going to give you the reserves, isn't it? It's probably about 8 tons. Or more than that. I think when we look at the fuel burn down here for coming back in. So if we go look at the legs page. So you've got Ouchi, Killarney, Buffery. So if we go and go next page. Pull up the route data and then it gives you the fuel burn down. Yeah, we're going to have 20 tons left at landing. That's ridiculous. So I need to have a look at that, about when you pull in the fuel planning from Simbrief. I don't think it did it. I think it used the medium level of fuel that we selected. I don't think it changed the fuel level of the aircraft to suit. Or Simbrief just had a colossal amount of reserve fuel. So Steve's saying he can't wait for the updated graphics in 2024. I think you'd be surprised if you go and look at the Eastern USA update. I think the new AI photogrammetry that you're seeing on the Eastern US is essentially the same that is being used to refactor the landscape for 24. It's all down to the level of detail they have on the for the source of the photogrammetry. So in order to form the shapes, the higher resolution you have, the better. Obviously the trees are going to get redone in 2024. I'm not sure if the cloud rendering is going to be any different. It's pretty good already. So let's go and busy ourselves with having a look at this approach chart then. So Killarney 3 standard terminal arrival route is here. We need to be at 17,000 feet for Ouchi, or above 17,000. And above 9,000 for Killarney, above 8,000 for Baffrey, and then it's the route in. So if we go and have a look at the ILS chart, has this got any... So it wants 4,000 feet basically on the way in through Selleck just before we get to... That's quite a steep descent then, isn't it? If we look at this, you're dropping 4,000 feet in about 10 miles or 10 kilometers? No, 15, 20 kilometers. I mean, that's fine, but it just seems a bit sudden. Should we put the chart back onto something? Let's have a look at the different charts actually, we've got some time to kill. So this is obviously the FAA sectionals, then you've got satellite mapping, so let's go and turn off the chart. So how good are their satellite maps? Let's go and zoom in on Pearl Harbor. They're not bad, are they? So there's the Arizona. And that's what you get in the simulator, is this water texture which obscures it completely. Which is a real shame. There's a couple of marine carriers over there by the look of it. Okay, so can we not turn the roads off? It's a bit crazy that they've done that, isn't it? Oh, I guess it's just a satellite mapping. So, world map gives us... Actually, I suppose the world map does give you some contour information, but there's no legend, which is a bit of a shame. VFR, which is like a combination of the vector layer from the world map by the look of it with the navaids obviously rendered in. IFR low, which just removes the textures and changes obviously the sectors that are drawn. And then IFR high, which will just change the sectors again and give you the airways so you can focus on them. Versus little nav map, where you get to see all sorts of things. So you can have layers, and obviously some of these are unofficial. I've got an unofficial add-on which puts Google Maps terrain view into Little Nav Map. The default ones you get out of the box with Little Nav Map are OpenStreetMap, which does that, which isn't too bad. It's quite clutter-free. OpenTopoMap, which is very slow to draw. It used to be. It looks like it's improved, which is very good for giving you the contour lines when you get really close to it. It does mean you have to zoom in. I think they're in meters though, so you have to convert that into feet in your head. Some of these require licenses, which I don't have. This Mapbox is a good example. You need to put the keys in for a license behind the scenes. I don't have a Mapbox license. But then you get Google Maps, obviously, which is the default mapping you'll see in Google, and Terrain View. And then you get... Actually, let's compare the Terrain View then of Google Maps versus the Bing one that we saw. Let's go and look down in Pearl Harbor again. See, they've got a different day, and you can actually see the Arizona. Interesting. And then you've got the terrain view, which I usually use in Google Maps because it's quite instructive at a glance as to where the hills are. So we're just coming out towards Kauai, and then we'll turn back. So we need to be, if you remember from looking at the flight plan, if we pull it back up again on the chart, above 17,000 at Aichi. So we'll begin our descent to 18 as we come around the corner. So we can see Kauai right in front of us. Kauai. So we can change this into thousands to reduce it more quickly. Do a flight level change. And if we throw the spoilers out, we can get the aeroplane to descend very quickly. We'll get a warning about the extended use of spoilers, but that's fine. See, the spoilers are out. Rams have pushed them up. And we get a little look at Kauai. So, what can we say about Kauai? Polynesian inhabitants settled on the island centuries before others arrived, as shown by the excavations dating from 200 to 600 CE. These first inhabitants, originally from the Marquis Islands, lived undisturbed for about 5 centuries, until a second wave arrived by sea canoe from Tahiti. Many Hawaiian traditions and belief structures derive from the culture that arrived from the Tahitians. In 1778, Captain James Cook arrived at Waimea Bay, the first European known to have reached the Hawaiian Islands. He named the archipelago the Sandwich Isles after his patron, the 6th Earl of Sandwich, George Montague. During the reign of King Kamehameha, Kauai and Niihau joined his kingdom of Hawaii, the last to do so. Their ruler, Kamuali, resisted Kamehameha. I'm sure I'm saying this wrong. Kamehameha for years. Kamehameha twice prepared a huge armada of ships and canoes to take the islands by force, and twice failed, once because of a storm and once because of an epidemic. In the face of the threat of a further invasion, Kamuali decided to join the kingdom without bloodshed. I think it's Kamuali'i actually, but I'm not sure. He ceded the island to the Kingdom of Hawaii upon his death in 1824. You can see the airport down there really clearly now. So I'm making our turn. From the 1830s till the mid-20th century, sugarcane plantations were Kauai's most important industry. In 1835, the first sugarcane plantation was founded on Kauai, and the next century, the industry dominated Hawaii's economy. The last sugarcane plantation, the 118-year-old Gay and Robinson plantation, stopped planting sugar in 2008. Okay, we're just turning back towards Honolulu, so we'll be joining the star very soon, so we can see Ouchi is coming. We're at 18,000 feet. We could actually do a VNAV descent, couldn't we? Let the aeroplane take over. Means we can look out the window, not have to worry too much. So we've got the data. So if we go and look on the legs page, got let's press legs again to bring us up to the top. 7,000 feet at Ouchi, so we're way behind at the moment, so let's come back down. We're going to help the airplane out, so let's just go do a flight level change instead of VNAV and come down to 7. Going to get the airplane back on track basically. So Killarney we need to worry about. So Killarney is 9,000 feet. Oh, that was 17, sorry. Yeah, we're way higher than we ought to be. Oh no, it should be fine, shouldn't it? I'm reading that wrong. I thought I said 7, it's 17. So why has this got 7,000? That doesn't agree with that. Hang on, am I reading that backwards? No, above 17. And that doesn't agree with that. Interesting. Okay, we'll do what we're told on the chart instead of what the airplane's saying, because that's patently wrong. So we do need to take off the standard barometric pressure because we're below 18,000 feet now. So we'll stay at 17 until we get to Ouchi. That's interesting. I wonder why it's wrong. So there's the island that we're heading for. Put the speed brakes back away for the moment. Don't need them. Okay. So auto throttle can stay on 250 knots. I'm going to set a target of 7,000 feet and do a flight level change to get there. And let's see how long the airplane thinks it's going to take to do it. We've got actually no, we want 9,000, don't we, for Killarney. So we need to get to 9,000 for Killarney. Let's see if it's going to do it without us assisting with spoilers. No, we're going to need spoilers. Let's give it a moment. Let the airplane stabilise itself. It's going to be a close run thing, isn't it? Yeah, let's help it. So first stage of spoilers should be just enough. So Nigel says, hey Jonathan. Hey Nigel. Okay, let's move the view back around. We're on our way back. To Oahu. Honolulu. We've got the terrain on, so you'll start to see the hills appearing on the display. So if we zoom in a little bit, yeah, it's too close yet. Great story in the live stream comments. I'll read this one out. I was playing this the other day and my cat jumped up on my lap, leaning against the yoke, crashing the plane, killing all 300 passengers. Shouldn't laugh really, but they're only pretend passengers. Okay, so you can see the island out in the mist as we descend, coming down through 12,000 feet. So because we've been assisting the plane, if we remove the spoilers now, we should find we get to 9,000 for Killarney rather handily. He says as the plane obviously is now correcting itself. Oh, look at the speed. It's had a bit of a fit with the speed. So, we're doing flight level change though, aren't we? And we're still above 10,000. So it's happily accelerating. It's gone wrong, hasn't it? The auto throttle is having an absolute nightmare. So it's armed, it's supposed to be on, it's got confused. Here we go, so we've got the descent estimate is coming back in. We'll probably have overrun it now, of course. So 250, does that mean the throttles are going to come back up? Don't need the checklists on, by the way. If we double click this, yeah, it'll go away. Normally you don't need to see things on here if there's a problem. So let's pull the range in slightly on the navigation display. So we can't go by any of these numbers because they're all wrong, which is wonderful. So we'll go by the chart. So we're approaching Killarney, so above 9,000 at Killarney, and then above 8,000 at Baffrey. So what we could do is just set this to Baffrey and then manage it all the way through. So take these spoilers away. And we'll go for vertical speed to do this on our own terms. So auto throttle will hold 250 knots for us. There we go, it's kicked in. We're just using lateral navigation to steer. And we are going to take this down to 1,000 feet a minute to get to 8,000. So you can see the green banana is extending out there as it establishes 1,000 feet per minute descent rate. So we don't even have to come down that steeply, do we? So we can come down at, whoops, at 500 feet a minute. So you'll see this needle move again, and you'll see the green banana move forwards. So we've got above 5,000 at Selleck. If we show the... No, it doesn't have a button for it. I was going to say we could show the constraints, but there's no constraint button on the EFIS panel for the 777. That's a shame. But it does show some data on navigation anyway. Let's go double check the ILS frequency while we're thinking about it. So ILS is 111.7 and 79 degrees. So let's go and click the radio navigation button. 1117, 79 degrees. Yeah, it's already done. That's good. And put the star chart back on for the moment. Okay, so we're on our way to Baffrey, and then we drop to 4,000 after Baffrey, or 5,000 according to this at Selleck. Which still seems high. If we increase the range, you can see we're quite a way, 40 miles out still. Whoops. From the runways just coming into view now. 40 miles away. So we're at 8,000 feet. So we stay at 8 until we're through Baffrey. So we should have the landing lights on, by the way, because we're below 10,000 now. Go and have a look at them, see how bright they are. Never usually get a chance to do all of this on a normal flight. So I should go and play with the external views. So you see the beacon and the landing lights. Very cool. And when we come back into Honolulu, we'll go for the central building and have a look inside it. Someone said the internals of it are modelled on the Inibuilds version of Honolulu International. So that should be good. So just reading Steve's comment in the live stream about cats. I think cats have a sixth sense for people who don't like them. And they target those people. They can sense fear. That tile is playing up again. Look, we saw that on the way in, didn't we? Or on the way past. I mean, thankfully it's around the corner. It's not directly where we're going, but... Say we passed Baffrey, so we can come down for 5,000 now. So we'll do this descent with vertical speed mode. So speed brakes are not in use. We can go and set the auto brakes soon as well. So we need a slightly steeper descent to get to. We don't want to be too far above 5,000 when we get to Selig. So let's have a look here. So this is saying 4,000 feet on the way in, which doesn't agree with the other one. How odd. So this says 5,000. The plane says 5,000 at Selig. The plane's wrong. So we're going to go for 4,000. We go for 1,800 feet a minute, which should get us into the ballpark. So the plane is wrong, is the story here. Because if we look at the ILS chart, that has 4,000 feet on the way in to Selig. And we are speeding up because obviously we're pushing it on the descent rate. So then if we look at the chart here, we come in at 4,000 at Selig. We want 2,200 by Fig Tree. Okay, we're 20 miles out now. So we're starting to see the markers for the ILS. We're not far off on the centre line. Remember, we're coming in 8 left, not 8 right. So we can see the runway directly in front of us, just. If you look out in the distance, you can see it. So we're slightly off to the right. So the airplane will correct that all on its own. And we're just coming up on the approach path. So if we go for approach mode now, we can just wind the speed right off. Let the airplane slow down to 200 knots. Start extending flaps. So it's just coming out for 1 degree flap at the moment. As you can see, that's brought in a maximum speed of 260 knots. So we'll go straight back to 170 on the speed. Yeah, you can see it's playing around a little bit with that. So we'll go next stage. On flaps, we're commanding 15 degree of flap. We'll go for undercarriage down as well, which will give us a lot more. Why is the airplane moving around? That gives us a lot more drag. We can remove the spoilers now. We're going to command 20 degrees of flaps. To be honest, I could take over.
2,500.
It's boring letting the airplane land itself, isn't it? So. Autopilot is off. Auto throttle is still on. Should we take over from the auto throttle as well? Whoa, the plane's gone very twitchy. Pulling us back up onto the trim is way out. How strange. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a problem with this. Let's look at the wind. The wind, we've got a small tailwind. I wouldn't have thought it would affect us that much though. It's only 5 knots. The plane has this very strange rolling moment going on. Put head tracking on so we can look around easily. Increasing throttle, so we're below the glide slope at the moment. Yeah, we're going to get a warning about that.
Glide slope.
Let's pull ourselves back up onto the glide slope.
Glide
Busy
slope.
looking at other things and let ourselves drift below it. That rolling momentum has gone now. How odd. No, it's coming back again, look. It's starting to barrel around, basically. Okay, back on the glide slope. Maybe it's just gusting wind, who knows. So we got 6 knots behind, we got tailwind again. But it's a very weak tailwind. Not enough to stop us. I think it's about 8 or 10 knots is the cut-off usually. Okay, back on the glide slope.
500. 400.
Oh, we're dropping below it again. I've only done 3 landings, I think. Yeah, we're getting the checklist incomplete warning.
300.
It's very odd. This plane changes behaviour on the way in.
200.
It's not consistent during the approach.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Now this time I gave it an absolute bootful of elevator, or handful of elevator, and it hardly responded. It's really odd. So there goes the reversers. Cut them off now. And we'll taxi in. So obviously there's a lot of traffic here because we've got FSLTL running. Onto the wheel brakes. Start retracting the flaps. And we'll have another look around the airport now we've got FSLTL running. It'll be quite interesting to see what's parked up. So we've got a 747 over there. Something taking off behind us we can hear. This is the PMDG 777 for anybody that's watching. So Steve is saying it amazes me how these planes can land themselves. Put in on the next game. Well, now we'll go for the final one over the corner. So just out of interest, we should have, on the way in, we should have gone and turned off the taxi lights. The click spots for these are tiny. Isn't it? accurate scenery book, you can see the markings for the aeroplanes. There isn't a 777 marked, but we'll go for the 747 marking. Okay, so I need to go and put the parking brake on. And then, first things first, let's go over to the tablet and put some wheel chocks out, please, and request air start inhibit, single plug, request ground power, and then we can go to ground power, then we don't need to bother with the APU, and then we can shut the engines down. So we just cut the fuel and it starts the shutdown sequence automatically. Okay, so having dealt with that, we can go back to the drone camera view, which is upside down. So we'll just correct that. Look at the size of this thing compared to... So there's is that a 737, isn't it, down here in front of us? The Air Canada 737. So look at the size of it compared to the 777. If you see them from overhead, you really do see the size difference. So what's here today? Now we've got quite a few aeroplanes modelled. Obviously it's going to hit the frame rate, but we don't mind too much. We're just going to go and have a nosy around. So we've got an Alaska 737 over here. On the end we've got a Southwest 737. We've got a bizarre white painted 777. Another Alaska, another Southwest. There's an American A320 on the end. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So we've got over here a couple of 787s. What else is parked around the base that we can get to? So up the far end, there's obviously the Korean 747 that we saw on the taxiway in. So we've got a 787 from Japan. I think this one was here earlier, wasn't it? The Hawaiian 787. Is this a... No, I'm not sure what this is. Somebody who knows their aeroplanes could probably tell me. Okay, so when we were flying, somebody said the central buildings have got an interior. So should we go and have a look at it? So do they mean this one or the other side? This is the cheat way of finding out what has a modelled interior, by the way. So it's obviously car park. How about this one? Nope. Nope. That's just car parks. I wonder if they were mistaken, maybe, or they got a different version of the airport. Because I haven't seen any. There's little bits of modelling done with a few people around, but then yeah, which saves frame rate, to be honest. If the interiors aren't done too much, it saves frame rate. But then load on demand usually means it's not going to get rendered anyway unless you go poking around inside the structures to have a look. But yeah, other than that, I love the way the gates are done really accurately, and the buildings. So when you're coming up towards them, so let's go back to our aeroplane actually. We're parked over here, aren't we? Should we go and ask for the jetway and see if it animates nicely? So if we go back inside, that wasn't our aeroplane, by the way. So it's over there at the moment. So if we go and request the jetway, and there it goes. And it's done it absolutely accurately. That's really cool. So then obviously we can open the doors. So we can go in here and go to door management and disarm entry number 2 and open it. And then you can play silly games, like walking through the cockpit to go and look at the door. Whoa, the frame rate is taking an absolute walloping for some reason. So if we coming through the aeroplane, it's going really slowly, which is odd. So this is the interior of the 777, by the way, if you've not seen it. It's done very, very accurately. I just want to get to the door to look through it and see the connection to the jetway. There we go. Oops, just gone through the wall. That's as close as we can get to the edge of the aeroplane from this view, unfortunately. Very cool. Does this work? No. I was expecting a bit too much, wasn't it? Anyway. We were parked on the next stand along, weren't we, over here? So just having a look around the airfield, it's really lovely modelling, isn't it, of the external surfaces of everything. So this is Honolulu from Inibuilds. It's worth having a look at the road infrastructure on the way in, because they really have done a number on that. It's very good. So you can see all of the roads and the signage on them and the palm trees and the various junctions. It's all been done properly. So we're going to have a close look at one of the signs just to see how much detail they've gone into. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I'm not sure where the scenery actually stops. I imagine that's the cutoff. Yeah, you can see it, look. There's the cutoff to the surrounding AI-generated scenery. So Honolulu doesn't have photogrammetry by the look of it. And just to show you what we were talking about earlier on, if we speed the drone camera up, we can go and look at Pearl Harbor. So it does appear to have some scenery add-ons. So you've got some basic warships in place as three-dimensional structures, which is surprising me. That may be part of the another add-on that I've got installed, because I wasn't aware that Flight Simulator did that. And they do appear to be quite decent 3D structures. Though they're not textured wonderfully, but anyway. The main thing I was going to point out was the Arizona. You used to be able to see it under the water, and you can't. So at some point, one of the updates scrubbed it, which I think is a real shame. You used to be able to see the underneath of Pearl Harbor, but they've somehow scrubbed it clean, so you can't see it anymore. Which I think is, yeah, you can see. Look, you can see the chimney stack as a 3D model, but you can't see what's underneath it. I don't know with the drone camera, we can't go under, can we? No. I just think that's a huge shame that they've done that. Oh, if anybody's watched the Battleship movie where they fight the aliens, here's the star. It's an amazing ship, isn't it? Anyway, we have to call this to a halt somewhere, and I think that's probably enough. So I may go and have a look and see what simulator scenery updates there are for Hawaii. It's a shame that the Pearl Harbor area isn't in more detail. Now, is this coming as part of the airport? It must have done, I suppose. Unless it might be part of the America update. But yeah, there's various bits of structure here and there where they have got custom structures. It's interesting, isn't it? How you get the odd structure here and there, but not everything. And there's obviously the military airbase adjoined to Honolulu, with the 135s, a couple of C-130s. Right, so there we go. That ends the flight for today. So that's Honolulu International from Inibuilds that we were highlighting along the way. And of course the wonderful Hawaiian Islands. I will see you all again soon. Take care.